All right, we're back with another episode of the Trenton Talks podcast, and I'm here with a mogul, someone who's the first to do something in our city, first to do it the right way, the first to understand the corporate world and the sense of cannabis, and bring that to the Trenton area, especially the downtown area. How you doing, John Dockery?
Man, I'm good. I'm blessed.
What's going on, man? It's been over a year. Moja life. How you feeling?
Feeling good. We're in a good space. First 6 months was a little rough for me. I had this idea that, as soon as I opened, it was just going to be like full throttle.
Mm-hmm.
Like business was going to be crazy, and it was the complete opposite. So right now, we're about close to coming up on a year and a half of being open, and we're finally at like our numbers, our spot that we should have been at when we opened. But we're here now, so it feels good.
Okay. What adjustments do you feel like you're ready to make in regards to, what you expected and what you're doing now, and what adjustments do you think you need to make to reach the Trent area a little more?
I think,
or just the state area.
I think, you kind of learn your demographics. Our demographics in Trenton, the average household only makes about, $40,000 a year.
The numbers, damn.
So when you start like looking at the numbers, like you said, like when you start looking at the numbers, we needed more affordable cannabis, affordable, safe cannabis. So I kind of just started hitting the nail on that, like trying to get the pricing down, using things that I learned from like the streets to negotiate better pricing. Now I'm at that point where I'm getting like, the numbers that I want that make sense, for the consumer and for me. So it's just a good thing to be able to bring affordable cannabis to Trenton, so, people can enjoy safe cannabis also.
Right. Okay. Little backstory. John was one of the first 11 in the state to get granted a conditional license. What changes have you seen in the state since then, since you, right?
Oh man, the market and the industry is just going crazy. Every year is we're doing better and better in sales. I see more people like myself in the space now. Some of them look at me as the pioneer, because I was one of the, if not the first legacy operator in the state, meaning that I was the first one that literally sold weed on the black market side.
Oh, wow.
To be in the corporate side now, right? So, now I see more people that look like myself, we're forming groups, so we can get better deals for all of us, because most of the people that do look like myself, their dispensaries are based in the inner city. So, I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of new products. I'm seeing pricing come down. The big thing with cannabis in New Jersey was that all the apes were $60 and higher, That's expensive, that's $400 and something an ounce for an ounce of weed. So, just seeing pricing come down, just seeing more people like myself, helping more people like myself get in the space.
Right.
I'm a lead on that. I started a project, just to help more legacy operators switch from, their pop-up shops to try to help them get legit.
Okay. I got a two-part question. One, first, define legacy operator for those who don't know, and two, tell me a little bit about how people get in this space.
Legacy operator is somebody that sold weed prior to a regulated market coming here. I sold
important
weed.
Definition right there.
Yeah, I sold weed since I went to high school. You know what I mean? So it's always, so people always ask me, like, how long you been in the industry? I be like, man, shit, 20-some years, you know what I mean? So that's what a legacy operator is.
Okay.
Some people use it kind of loosely, like, oh, I sold an ounce of weed to my boy. Like I'm a legacy operator. Nah, I don't consider that no legacy operator. Like I was known in town for selling weed before I was, on the regulated market, you know. So
how important was that adjustment for the way you're doing it now, for the kids coming up who, you know, it might inspire somebody today. You might be selling weed, make a couple dollars, and he got a job. He doing a little bit just to survive. He's looking at you right now.
yeah.
What's the steps?
First and foremost, I would tell them to be patient with it if they were looking to get into the industry. It's not nothing that you can do overnight. It's a process. So many different hurdles you have to go through. But I would tell them just take their time, be patient with it. You know, learn as much as you can. Maybe even start off being a bud tender. Start at, you know, because I didn't have that option. I couldn't start as a bud tender and learn a little bit about the industry before I jumped into it, because I was one of the first 11. There wasn't no other bud tenders, you know what I mean? I was one of the first 11, so there wasn't no need for me to go get a bud tender job, and I got a license to operate, you know? So, you know, things that I've learned in these last year, if I could do it now, if I could get into the industry now, I would start as just getting a job in the industry, you know, whether it was, if you like cultivating, like, you know, growing plants, whether you like manufacturing stuff as such as like gummies, or, you know, you make a mean brownie or something like that, you know. I would tell you to get with the people that are already in the industry and see if you can like be an apprentice to them, you know what I mean, and learn, you know. That's where I would tell you to start at. I wouldn't tell you like, oh, just go apply for a license.
Yeah, that's important. And a lot of times people want to skip steps, man. You know, if it's people that have cannabis licenses within the Mercer County area, I'd even just try and go work for them. Go apply, even just Jersey, anywhere you know, wherever you're listening to this. Before you spend 1 million hours on ChatGPT saying, I want to own this, and then it don't work out the next week and you give up, you can go and work with the people that's already in that space. Right. And sometimes our people really don't understand the process of networking. They really just feel like it has to be given to them, or, you know, and I see that a lot. Like, people don't know how to network. They don't know how to go and work for somebody in return to receive information. Yeah. They don't know how to do that. They just feel like, give me information or you hating on me.
Right. I mean, I get that a lot. I get people that come by and I never gatekeep. I always hashtag like I'm not the gatekeeper, you know.
Right.
I'm the one that's going to spread it, you know. You know, my thing was, once I got into the space, was to leave the door open for as many people to come through, you know. So, you know, a lot, but then also, again, you get a lot of people that be like, oh yeah, I want to be in the space, but can you do it for me? Can you do my application?
Right.
And it's like,
do the entire process.
Yeah, I wouldn't, if I do it over again, you know what I mean? I'd be like, I don't know if I could, you know, have the bandwidth to do it all over again.
And you had a team with you doing that, writing that application. You had
I had to pay people to write. I had to pay people to help write my application. Yeah, it wasn't just me.
You were selected. Within their space.
Yeah, I had someone that wrote my application. I had a bunch of attorneys. Right. I had, you know, compliance officer. I had so many different things that, you know, took place in that space for me to even get this license.
And I just had a conversation with Quay about this. It's not always gatekeeping, because it's not gatekeeping, because you can give people the information. Do this, do that. And I don't mean it's going to work, you know, necessarily. So, and people will still say you gatekeeping. I mean, you could say, all right, this the website, this the nj.com. That don't necessarily ensure anyone's success as it would if you take the time to intern for someone and work with them and truly get more game, because no one is entitled to tell you everything. And that's Absolutely. The truth of the matter. No one may not even remember to tell you everything unless you spend time with them. Yeah. The more information you get out of a person, the more time you spend with them. Like, you come up to somebody like, yo, how do I do this and that? They're going to give you a quick answer. But if you spent 6 months with someone, like when you do an internship in college, they require you to spend 6 months with a company. College kids are required to do this for free. I did an internship for free, right? You do this for 6 months in order to acquire information about this space and overall knowledge, right? So I feel like our people we go up to people in 1 day, 2 days, and we want information.
We want the whole dictionary written out for us in those 1 or 2 days. Yeah. But there's so many things that I would miss, you know what I mean? Even if you came up to me and was like, oh, how do I do it? I can give you, you know, A to B, but I might skip D, C, E and go straight
you're asking me off rip.
Yeah. I'm bouncing around. So, you know, that's you know, that is an issue with some of our people and stuff like that. They want the information instantly.
So when I first interviewed you, you told me you were a micro business. Are you still going to remain a micro business?
Yes, I'm going to always remain a micro business. I'm never going to convert to a standard business.
Okay.
It's just the protection that micro businesses get. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a cap, you know, in everybody's mind, like, oh man, that cap is too low. You know what I mean? You gonna be able to sell 100 pounds of weed in 2 days.
Right.
It's maybe 10, 15 dispensaries in the state that are selling 100 pounds of weed in a month, you know. So realistically, there's no need to go to being a standard dispensary. Just more taxes and stuff.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, and I'm sure people will, especially if they understand the business space, especially the guidelines. As far as investors and people trying to buy you out, and, you know, I'm sure you told me earlier, you know, in our first interview, you experienced huge contracts, you got to read it, and you realize that it ain't good. Are you still getting approached by people?
Absolutely, man. You know, and now it feels good. I had some guy come up to me recently and ask me if he can, you know, buy stocks into my company.
Oh,
you know,
I want some Moja like stock.
I was like, you know, I'm not publicly traded or nothing like that, but you know, these big MSOs are publicly traded. Mm. But I've also had people that like see me like from the beginning, like when I first opened, and seeing like the traction that I'm getting now, like, and they're like, yo, you want me to invest? Or, hey, you know, do you want to take on an investor? Can
I get 10% for 100,000?
Yeah, something like that. So like, you know, now I'm at the point where maybe 6 months ago I might have, you know, entertained it, but now I'm in a comfortable place that ain't enough money.
Ain't enough money for you to stay independent.
Yeah, and you know, it gets kind of, you know, sticky when, you know, you take someone else's money also.
Yeah,
too,
a little more pressure. A little more pressure. You need a board.
Yeah. It get a little deep, you know what I mean? But I would never, you know, put myself in a situation where I have somebody that has like, you know, the same amount of voting rights as I have and stuff like that.
But you are open to doing business with...
I'm more open of doing joint business now.
Joint business,
you know,
a separate company?
Or we could do a separate company, or we can do, you know, I can also get another, you know, dispensary in the state. Mm-hmm. I would join, you know, what I mean, collab. I think that's a thing that, you know, we kind of don't do, you know, as Black people. We don't collab enough with each other. Mm-hmm. I think everybody wants the glory, you know what I mean? Like, I did it on my own, got it out the mud, you know what I mean? I'm Mike Jordan to this, you know what I mean? Yeah. But when we all come together, like, you may shoot an idea at me and be like, dang, man, that might upscale me. You know, it might make us another $50,000, $60,000 this month, you know what I mean? But, you know, you don't know that if you don't collab, you know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's, you know, 3 people is better than, you know, 2 people, you know what I mean? Because it's 3 different brains working on the same project.
You're absolutely right. And I stepped out my comfort zone in my personal experience when Quay came to me with the celebrity game, and we were going to make a separate company that we both would own and we both would have power for. It was uncomfortable at first because it was like,
so used to doing it by yourself.
Yeah,
you know
you're so used to doing everything. You're so used to, I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to do that. And now it's like, okay, no, we have to come to a common ground.
As Black men, we have to come together. You know what I mean? Like-minded people have to come together. That's the only way we're going to make any leadway. Spanish people. You go down South Trenton, they got their own mayor down there, feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that. Like, we need our own Secaucus. We need our own, you know, we do have the NAACP, right? Yeah. But not nothing bad, but it's older guys. What's up with the
Right.
young, the young guys putting
Yeah.
something together, you know what I mean? That are
Need
all
some new
like-minded people, you know what I mean? We got Quay, we got, even on Warren Street, we call ourselves, like, on the low, we call ourselves the Black Wall Street, right? So
Yeah, I heard that.
we got Rob, he got the Skillet. We got
Yeah.
Quay, he got Much Better Studio. We got John Bi-Coastal. We got, we got so many. We got Ginger Peach coming that's owned by a Black woman. We have Arlie's that's owned by a Black woman. You know what I mean? So it's like, now it's like, yo, how can we all come together, you know what I mean, and make South Warren so thriving that it spills over to West State Street. It spills over to, the other streets in downtown Trenton. So, as people, we got to come together. We got to put our egos aside. There's nobody bigger than the other person. And, even if it only makes you $10 more, right, by coming together with someone, it's $10 more more than what you had, right?
Absolutely. Now that we're talking about Trent downtown and the Trent industry, some see it as a gold mine, some see it as a thing to get away from. How do you view Trent downtown and Trent in general?
Trenton in general, it's a lot of good, investment in Trenton. I do think we're on like a 5-year plan. I don't think it's going to be something that we can turn over in a year or 2 years. I think there's a lot of business that needs to be downtown. I think, we need a clothing store. We need more eateries. We need more, we just need more, but we need more people that are from the city to come there and instead of, having your shop out of your basement, get a storefront down there right now. Like, they're not that expensive, you know what I mean? I think with collectively, if we all come together, I think we can make downtown Trenton thrive again, because I'm from that era where downtown Trenton was the spot we went to on the weekends, you know what I mean? We had City Blue, Heritage Day was lit, we had a lot of things going on down there. So I can see it, coming back in like about 5 years.
Just a random thought. How does your business thrive from the state workers? I wouldn't know how many of them are actually engaged in cannabis. How much of them are?
Man, a lot of them come through there, man.
Oh yeah.
A lot. I done had supervisors in line with people like they're superior. They're in line with their superiors, right? And like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, you know what I mean? But at one point in time, state workers was really like 80% of my business. I don't think they're 80% anymore, because my numbers then went from a whole different level, But at one point in time, they were 80% of my business. They show love, I appreciate, the state workers. And another thing is that, I get to put the brand out there. A lot of these state workers that do come into downtown Trenton don't live here. They're just here to work, and then they go back to South Jersey, North Jersey, Pennsylvania. So they get to take my products back and share with their friends and tell their friends. And sometimes they pick up for their friends when they come in.
Word of mouth.
So it's definitely, I'm at a point right now where I'm growing like, really, really fast every month.
Do you feel like, is that like, for instance, like you come downtown, you're not sure how you're gonna do, but downtown Trenton, because it's the capital, having those state workers to kind of help you in the beginning. If you ain't got nobody, they walking, downtown in general, having that blanket back there, does that help the value a lot?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like 30,000 state workers that come down there every day. If you can get 5% of that, you know what I mean, you're doing good for yourself.
Right.
So
that's why y'all rent so high?
Nah, yeah, right, yeah. But the state workers do help a lot. To be honest with you, Pennsylvania really makes up a lot of my market. I'm starting to see a lot of locals come in now. Before, I didn't see any locals come in because the pricing was just way too high for them.
Right.
So that makes me feel good when I see, somebody that has an ailment, right? and they need cannabis to cope with pain, for sleep, for whatever their reasons is, right? And they're like, man, we so happy you here because we used to go to X, Y, and Z on Route 1, right? And pay them, $60. Now we ain't got to catch the bus and we can come right here. So it's like, I'm helping that person, you know what I mean? So it feels good. That feels good to me,
What have you learned since dealing with your 10 employees and dealing in the space in the past year?
It's hard to find good employees. That's once you find a good employee, do whatever it takes to keep them. And that's with anything in life. I started with 10 employees. I now run my ship with about 6 employees. So
you got 4 hiring spots.
Yeah, I do. I'm hiring right now. I just brought in
heard that?
2 new people. And they just went right in, fit right in. I'm a pretty good judge in character. I think you get that from, being from Trenton. Like, nah, I ain't hanging with them dudes over there. They gonna get wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you can sense it. You know how you go to an interview and you come as your representative, right? You bring the person that you want them to like feel that you are, but in actuality, that's just your representative. And in a couple of months, I'll really see who type of person you are. So I'm a pretty good judge in character and know if that's your representative or is that really who you are, So employees wise, I mean, I've had, my share of like, why did I do this? You know what I mean? Like just trying to give somebody a shot. But, for the most part, I pick good people.
Is it like, that one scene with Nino Brown? Is hard to let some people go. It'd be hard.
Yeah, man. Because sometimes and it's like now it's like you work with someone for 6 months. You see them every day. You know what I mean. You know about their dog name. You know what I mean. They family members then came in there, and now you gotta let them go. Like you know what I mean. So it's like.
But you're willing to make the tough decision every time, especially to protect the.
Absolutely,
the asset.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not I never was understood why people micromanage people. We're all grown here, you know what I mean? Nobody's here as a kid. I shouldn't have to hold your hand and tell you what you have to do, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like people make their own beds, you know what I mean? I'm very lax as an employer. I'm not one of the ones like, hey, you're 5 minutes late, you know what I mean? Nah, like I get it. You know what I mean? I've been that person too. Like, traffic was deep this morning. I, underestimated the time that I had to get here, right? So I'm understandable, but with some people, you give them that inch, and now I'm an hour late, and then they roll it in, and they got Dunkin' Donuts in their hands. Like, so not only is you late, you stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. So it's like, all right, now we got to fix this problem,
As far as the industry, man, give us some industry updates. How cannabis looking?
Oh man,
nationwide.
Nationwide, man. I'm hoping that we eventually one day go federally legal. You know what I mean? So we can do interstate commerce, because it would be so dope that, like, if I can go to like Cali, right, and be like, nah, I want Cali this, and this back over here. You know what I mean? Once we go federally legal, it's not an issue. You know what I mean? You make apples here. I mean, we grow a lot of corn here in Jersey, but you can sell that same corn in Massachusetts. You can sell it wherever. So once we go federally legal, you know what I mean, we'll be able to do interstate commerce and stuff and be able to traffic, cannabis from, places that are already well established. You know what I mean?
So you can only, and this is a little bit of logic and knowledge for people who don't know. So you can only sell and move cannabis in states that are approved. So on the federal, nationwide level, everyone isn't approved.
It's only state by state.
By state.
So all the cannabis that is sold in New Jersey recreation market or medical market from a licensed dispensary, all that cannabis has to be grown inside the state of New Jersey. There's no way possible that you're allowed to sell cannabis that's grown in Michigan or California or Colorado inside a licensed dispensary. All of it comes grown here from seed to sale inside the state.
What's one of your favorite other states that also are legal?
I applied for Illinois. I would love to be in Illinois.
Chicago.
Nah,
Not Chicago.
I ain't going to Chicago or Springfield or something like that. But you know, I did put my hat in the lottery there, and I got so if the first dispensary doesn't work out, or if they go out of business, or whatever the case may be, right? Then I'll be the next license holder in that city.
Moves.
Yeah.
That's major.
Yeah, I got a warehouse down in South Jersey where I'm going to be doing cultivation too. So I'm vertically integrated. So I have like 2 licenses, you should say. I have a license to grow cannabis, and I have a license to.
So you serve clients as well, as far as other businesses.
I will be soon after I get the warehouse up and going and stuff like that. After it's grown, I'll be able to sell it to other retailers.
How important is creating a business, and I'm learning this, and I have learned this, to create a business that can sell a product and also sell business to consumer, which meaning I'm selling to a customer, and then business to business as well.
Well, in my space, I mean, it's supply chain, right? Would you rather, go to the farmer's market and buy apples, right? You know that they had to process those apples. They had to pick those apples. They had to have somebody bring them to the market. So all that stuff that transpired before you went to the market and really bought 100 apples, right? Somebody had to do work. So that all comes out of that pay, right? But what if you could own the apple field and you can really just say, okay, now I'm cutting the middleman out, right? Now I am the source. And not only am I the source, I can also sell this product in my own place, but I can also sell it to everybody else too. So being a supply chain is key to growth. All the big dispensaries cannabis businesses in the state that are really doing like crazy numbers, they're all considered vertically integrated. They all have, manufacture a product or cultivate a product that they sell inside their own dispensaries, but also sell to other dispensaries. So, be part of the supply chain if you can't be the supply chain,
Be the plug.
Be the
Try
plug.
to be as many people, in layman's terms, try to be as many people plug as possible. And,
Absolutely.
And that's, it's funny, like, when you look at business, it's, coming from people who, we watch all these street movies, it's almost the same concept as you want to be as big as a boss as possible and serve as many people as possible, but just on a legal and corporate level.
I want to be able to grow the blue magic and sell the blue magic. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be the American gangster, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like working. I'd rather be but like you say, the boss, right? Instead of like working for someone, you know what I mean? Even me buying product off of like these cultivators here in the state, still kind of like I'm working for them, you know what I mean? I'd be like,
but let's take a second as we close to talk about the feeling of doing all this. You just talk about trying to become the American gangster. He had to go to jail. You're trying to do this on a legal corporate level.
Absolutely.
And, that's such a huge transition. We're talking about African Americans. We've been going to jail for marijuana, drugs, all for the past, since the war on drugs, right? Talking about the 80s, 70s. Now you can be ambitious as possible and try to be Frank Lucas on a legal level.
Absolutely. I was in a call with the New Jersey Labor Department last week. And I was saying, like, how can we get some type of criteria or some type of like training for inmates, you know what I mean, that are in jail right now, that they can come home and become part of the cannabis business, whether it's just they're bud tenders or they're working a cultivation. But my thing is this, I could probably take 10 dudes in jail right now and probably run the most successful cannabis business in the state. because they're more familiar with cannabis than any other, hustle. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's that they know how to hustle. You know what I mean? They just got caught. So instead of them, coming home and, not having any, training on anything, train them on cannabis. They get a job in the cannabis field. Maybe one day they have their own license. And I promise you they'll thrive. I promise you. You give them 6 months into this space and they'll figure out a way to be able to make them. Of course.
Is there any updates on the decriminalization of marijuana? These people in jail for selling weed 20 years ago, 10 years ago?
Well,
and now it's legal. Is there any updates on that process?
Absolutely. Not on the federal side, but on like the state side. Like if you have like weed charges, they're expunged. So Jersey's decriminalized cannabis. You're not allowed to open up a shop and sell cannabis. That's what they frown down upon, and they will arrest you for it. You're not allowed to have over 6 ounces of weed in your persons. You're not allowed to sell or give somebody over 6 ounces of weed either. So, it's decriminalized to the point that it's like, okay, we're telling you go get if you want to sell weed, go get a license and sell it. You know what I mean? But if you choose to do it like on the side, right, they will come and arrest you. You will be charged like you're selling drugs.
Well, man, this is very informative. I've learned a lot. I want to tap into the industry a little bit. I hope y'all got something from this. First of all, go network, go work for somebody in this space. Tap in with Moja Life. They got a couple open spots, open applications, possibly not too many. But
don't go crazy in my DMs like, yo, man, I want a job. Like, come on, man. And then you got a ski mask on that day. Like, come on, man. Take the ski mask off first at least, you feel me?
Don't be trying to buy the supply.
Yeah, or don't be in my DMs talking about, yo, I got mad weed. You know what I mean? I'll be like, man, come on, bro. I'm way past that, let me come sell it there. Like, what? I get the craziest stuff in my DMs.
I know you do, because our people don't know.
Yeah, our people don't know. So,
but close us out with any 2026 announcements or anything you want them to know.
Man, I'm gonna shake shit in 2026, man.
Give me something. Don't give me everything. Give me what's coming.
Cultivation's coming in 2026. 2026.
It's the warehouse, right?
The warehouse. We'll have our own. We'll have that. I see. Me being a weed smoker, right? I know what the people look for. I know everybody like candies. I know that there's smokers that like the OGs. I know what's going on. Like I'm not too far off from, because I'm not even though I've been in this space for since 2022. When I got my license in 2022, I was still selling weed on the streets. I was like that. I came straight off the street, so I'm Pac-Man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you smoke good weed, you came and seen me. You know what I mean, in this town. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know what the people want. You know what I mean? These people that are in my space right here in this industry, they really don't know. They just fishing. You know what I mean? Like I know what the people want.
That's major. I think you're gonna kill it. I think that's a gold mine.
I'm gonna kill it.
I think that's a gold mine. And like the other dude said, if you got some stocks. But nah, man, I wish you nothing but success. And also, I want to give him a shout out. He's a consistent sponsor of my basketball tournament 2 years in a row. They ain't get the chip again. I ain't get the chip either. They beat us.
We fucked y'all up, man. Oh, sorry about that. We talked the belt out on Mama Lou. But next year I'm coming with all NBA players. You know what I mean? I'm coming with pro-am players. You know what I'm saying? I want to buy the team next year. You know, I'm gonna buy players to come like, yo, I'm gonna give you $500 to play, you $500 to play, and I'm coming out there with, you know what I mean, some ballers. You know what I mean? I brought my boys. I let my boyfriend around the way put my team together. You know, he was a solid high school player. You know, they took Trenton High to tournament and champions. So I was like, yo, just put something together for me. You know what I mean? I want to support my man. You know what I mean? But I'm very competitive. You know what I mean? I be knowing
you want to win.
Yeah.
And y'all took an early loss and still survived.
They still survived.
Very long. That's very rare. You see a team take that early loss and survive. And then once we had our loss and y'all had a loss, it was down to 5 left. We both was hungry. I'm like, nah, these niggas wanted more.
They was hungry.
Yeah, some GCL dudes. It was
I brought the whole
dirty.
Garfield, Cleveland, Logan out with me. You know what I mean?
And I had players hurt.
I'm bringing the section out here.
Only reason they beat us, I'll keep it real. I had 6 people. That's the only reason. I'm saying folks got to know their body.
People say anything when they lose, right, man?
Folks got to know their body at this age, bro. You playing outside, you got to do a little bit. Don't just come out at the tournament. You got to do a little bit to build. But they beat us. They beat us. But thank you. I just wanted to give you flowers. He does sponsor things in the community.
Man, absolutely.
He does give back to the community.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate you for doing that.
I'm all for the community anytime.
Yeah. So shout out Moja Life, man. We out.
Yeah.
All right. That was good. How long?